Howdy, 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 my name is Anashi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SP Foundation Wiki. Yesterday we read about the criminal past and Timmy and the buried giant and a damaged toy horse from Dr. Wondertainment and Child's Storybook. This one we're going to be reading Chiropractors, Room for One, Endless Echo, Flesh Tone Paint, and then we're going to start off the 1200s with a little taste of Factory. So let's check out them Chiropractors. They're safe. Special Containment Procedures. The building formerly housing the Blankety-Blank Bat Clinic and SCP-1196 has been repurposed as a Foundation front business. And what's that business called that starts with SCP? I bet it still is, because that's what they do, because they have no subtlety. The entrance to the basement has been replaced by a reinforced steel door and is to be triple locked. Doesn't sound very safe. The unlocking codes are only available for access by level 3 personnel and higher. If the 1196 area of effect appears to have shifted in any way, the site director should be contacted immediately. Under no circumstances, unless explicitly for testing, are chairs allowed within 1196. Description: SCP-1196 is the former basement of the Someplace Bat Clinic located somewhere. The basement walls and ceiling are all composed of concrete, with several support pillars at various points in the room. The floor is unfinished. Fluorescent lighting tubes line the ceiling, but only 3 of them remain in working condition. Sounds about right for fluorescent lighting in buildings. SCP-1196 anomalous properties only arise when a chair is introduced to it. Hereby defined as an object with 4 legs and a seat that is designed for sitting in. Rolling chairs are not affected, although rocking chairs are. As soon as the legs of a chair are allowed contact with the floor of 1196, it becomes an instance of 1. 1 is the designation given to any chair under the effect of 1196. Instances of 1 appear to gain sentience and the ability to move independently, either by shuffling across the floor or, in the case of folding chairs, rapidly opening and closing their legs. Chairs removed from 1196 lose all anomalous properties. Instances of 1 are able to speak English through unknown means. These vocalizations consist of short, clipped sentences spoken in a high-pitched, squeaky voice. Instances of 1 will only vocalize when a human is inside 1196, regardless of their distance from the subject. Vocalizations are usually commands that refer to the spinal health and posture of the subject. However, these commands are not based on the subject's actual spinal health, with instances of 1 saying the same sentences regardless. Sample phrases: stand up straight! Don't slouch! Fix your posture! Slouching causes scoliosis! I said stand up straight! Straight! If a human being spends more than 30 minutes within 1196, all instances of 1 will fixate upon the individual, hereby referred to as the subject. Instances of 1 will follow the subject around and instruct them more clearly on their spinal health. If more than 1 human being is within 1196, instances of 1 will fixate on a random individual. Exiting 1196 negates this effect. If the subject remains inside 1196, several changes will occur within the current 1 population. As time elapses, several of 1 will grow more active and vocalize more often, and the voice used will become deeper and louder. If the subject remains within 1196 for approximately 60 minutes, instances of 1 will vocalize rough commands and statements about the subject's spinal health in a more negative light, frequently repeating phrases such as awful posture in threatening tones. After approximately 80 minutes, instances of 1 will begin to assault the subject. Methods of attack include ramming, tripping, stabbing with chair legs, and crushing. The population of 1 will repeat these actions until the subject either escapes or is killed. However, instances of 1, despite being non-sapient entities, appear to display remorse for these actions, vocalizing various apologetic phrases. Individual instances of 1 have attempted to move or bury the bodies, often try to utilize the tools like shovels and brooms to little effect. Sample apologetic phrases: we're sorry. Apologies. I'm sorry. Tried helping. Forgive. Since they say by the time they're killing people that the voice gets deeper and louder. So I probably should have been like, we're sorry, apologies, I'm sorry, tried helping, forgive! I mean, that's nicer than it could have been. I mean, yeah, the chairs. How would a chair, I don't know. I guess the folding chairs would probably have a pretty easy time stabbing people. Just snap off one of their legs like a freaking shiv. Okay, let me check the name of that again. Room for 1. It's Euclid. It's a room, though. Or is it? SCP-1197 is to be fitted with a Foundation-issue keycard lock designed to match neighboring units. Management has been instructed to... Sorry, different problem. Has been instructed to inform both staff and guests that 1197 is indefinitely inaccessible. 2 armed personnel are to be incorporated into the civilian staff and security office. Any subjects emerging from 1197 would be detained and administered medical and psychological treatment before being interviewed. Following an active session, 1197 is to be thoroughly searched and cleaned with the entrance door secured open. Any anomalous items or bodies are to be removed and studied. SCP-1197-1 is not to be manipulated at any time outside of testing. Description: SCP-1197 is a hotel suite blank in redacted, containing a bedroom area, bathroom, and typical furnishings including a television, mini fridge, and telephone. Don't take anything out of that mini fridge, they'll charge you. The windows on the far wall of the bedroom cannot be opened, and the walls, floor, and ceiling cannot be damaged or breached by any known means. When viewed through the windows from outside, 1196 appears as a clean and unoccupied room at all times. 1197 can be occupied for any amount of time and freely vacated, provided the occupant does not open 1. One is a doorway in the western wall of 1197. Although it appears to connect to the adjacent suite, the corresponding door in room blank cannot be opened. 1 remains locked unless the entrance door to 1197 is closed, at which point 1 can be opened. Opening 1 will reveal an identical version of 1197, including any current occupants who have opened their version of 1 at the same moment. New instances of subjects exhibit accurate knowledge and responses to questions of identity, and act in a similar manner. Posthumous testing reveals no biological discrepancies. 1197 has demonstrated the ability to spawn items during an active session out of view of any occupants. Utilities, with the exception of the telephone, continue to function, but occasionally experience outages. During an active session, the entrance door to 1197 will no longer open and cannot be breached from either side. Should 1 instance of each occupant expire, 1 will close and the entrance door will open for whichever room is currently occupied. To date, all recorded deaths within 1197 have resulted from homicide. Addendum. Note: the Foundation became aware of 1197 4 days into Incident 1197-3. Interviews with hotel staff and local authorities provided information regarding previous incidents. For clarification purposes, surviving subjects are designated 1, 2, etc., while their duplicates are designated A, B, respectively. Okay, incident logs. Subject blankety blank, duration 16 hours. Subject 1 failed to check out of 1197. Hotel staff could not open the door, authorities notified. Before police arrived, subject exited 1197, appearing distressed and acting violently towards anyone approaching him. A battered body similar in appearance to the subject was discovered in 1197. Subject arrested and interrogated before committing suicide in police custody. Interrogation logs provided rough details of an SCP-1197 active session, during which the Subject 1 accused Subject A of lying about his identity, denied the reality of the situation, and attempted escape. Eventually, Subject 1 subdued and tortured Subject A to gain additional information and/or freedom. A expired from inflicted injuries, at which point 1 closed and the entrance door opened. Posthumous DNA testing revealed a match between Subject 1 and Subject A. Subject 2, blankety blank. Duration unknown. A body matching Subject 1 was found in 1197 by cleaning staff at approximately 12:15 the day after Subject 1 checked in. A police investigation determined the cause of death to be asphyxiation using a leather belt matching the one worn by Subject A. Time of death estimated 9:30 a.m. Hotel security video and front desk log show Subject 1 exiting room and checking out at 9:37 a.m. Subject 1's current location unknown. Subject blank and blank blank. Approximately 45 days. Alright. Before the Foundation could secure the site, Subject 1 and Subject 2, male and female, activated 1197. On-site personnel responded to the reopening of 1197 to discover Subject 1 assaulting Subject 2. Subject 1 detained, Subject 2 transported to nearest hospital under guard. Interview revealed subject to be a married couple. Subject 1 opened the door while unpacking, discovering A and B. After a few hours of panic and argument, Subject 2 and Subject B were able to calm their husbands, and all 4 agreed to rest and await rescue. Subject B discovered wrapped sandwiches in their mini-fridge which hadn't been there previously, sharing them amongst all 4 subjects. The fridge replenished every day at first, but gradually produced food less and less frequently. Over the following weeks, tension grew between the couples until they decided to keep 1 closed and check in daily. Eventually, Subject A claimed the fridge ceased producing food, resulting in a violent altercation, after which 1 was closed and barricaded from both sides. Several days later, Subject 1 awoke to find Subject 2 missing. Forcing 1 open, Subject 1 discovered Subject A in bed with Subject 2 and Subject B. All 3 claimed innocence to accusations of infidelity. Subject 1 assaulted A, leading to the death of Subject A and Subject B. 1 closed and entrance door opened. 2 bodies were recovered for study. Subject 2 expired from injuries before being interviewed. So that one sounds like there was two sets of the married couple, and one day his wife decided to have a threesome with the alternate versions of them, and then he killed her. That's weird. But also it sounds like it's not an instance of if you close the door you can leave the room. You can only escape if you actually kill each other. Which is weird. Okay, subject D1916, a 20-year-old male convicted of gang-related homicide. He was there for 9 days. He was instructed to enter 1197, wait for the entrance door until it was closed, and open one. Equipped with audio and video recording devices. Remote feeds were lost when one was opened. Upon exiting 1197, one attempted to escape the hotel before being detained. One described meeting A and exchanging questions until both accepted their situation. One and A attempted to escape but were unable to breach doors and windows or contact anyone via telephone. Over the next week, increasingly elaborate plans were enacted, but all met with failure as various utilities such as power, water, and air conditioning began failing for long periods. Arguing intensified until one discovered an electric iron in the closet and bludgeoned A to death. One closed and the entrance door opened. Body, iron, and 2 recording devices recovered for study. Recovered recordings show a clean, quiet, and unoccupied room matching that seen through the windows. The videos follow the movement of each subject, but even when pointed at each other or at mirrors, do not show the subjects or recording devices. Subject D985, a 24-year-old male convicted of 3 related homicides. Duration, 5 minutes. D985 armed with a loaded pistol and fully informed about the nature of 1197. Instructed to enter 1197, wait until the entrance door was closed, and open one. Entrance door opened minutes later, showing one leaning against an armchair with a gunshot wound in the side facing a closed one. One ordered by armed personnel to drop pistol and lay face down, complied. One described opening 1197-1 and being shot before returning fire, presumably terminating A. Personnel report not hearing any gunshots or other noises from 1197 until entrance door reopened. One escorted from 1197 and treated by medical personnel. D5482, a 40-year-old female convicted of domestic homicide. 38 hours. She was instructed to enter the room, wait until the door closed, and fully explore the room. After 38 hours, the entrance door opened, but one did not exit. Security personnel entered 1197 and discovered one sitting on the bed cradling A, who had expired from a gunshot wound to the temple. A single pistol was found on the floor, which had not been issued to the subject. One, body and pistol removed from 1197. One was calm and refused to describe her experience, explaining only that she had dealt with her issues. Huh. Dr. Harrison. Ongoing, 96 days as a most recent project report. Following extensive psychological examination, head researcher Dr. Harrison was cleared to activate 1197 for direct study. Subject provided with a standard survival pack, 30 days of rations, and 1 week's worth of emergency drinking water. Various additional supplies approved, including clothing, books, writing materials, and board games. You gave him 30 days of rations and he's been in there for 96 days. How did he report back to you if you can't get into the room or hear or see anything? That guy's probably, well, he can't be dead or the door wouldn't have opened. And I guess if he showed up with all that stuff, then the other guy would also have it, and since they're both the head researchers and they know everything about each other, they would probably know how to make all of that last for longer than 30 days. But still, that's weird. When was this last updated? January 25th of 2020. I hope something else happens with that. Okay, so next up is Endless Echo, which is safe. Somehow. Also, one of these things leads to something else. SCP-1813, going to be a while before we find out what that is. A single copy of 1198 is stored in the high-security data server of Site-19. It is stored in a password-protected subsystem that is only accessible by Level 3 or higher researchers assigned to SCP-1198. When used for experimental procedures, all personnel involved other than the intended subject are to wear a hearing protection sufficient to block sound up to 70 decibels in volume. 1198 is only ever to be played in a soundproof room designed to minimize echoes. Subjects affected by it are to be instructed to communicate only via written or typed text, preferably through a touchscreen, so as to minimize sound produced. Subjects are not allowed to access any piercing instruments or other objects which could be repurposed to perforate the eardrums of the subject. Requests for authorization to commence testing on individuals who are fluent in sign language but retain full hearing are pending. Description: SCP-1198 is a sound file lasting 37.2 seconds that is encoded in the waveform audio file format, WAV. To unaided human hearing, it appears to be a blank or silent file. Audio analysis reveals a high-frequency sound wave which is at the upper limit of normal human hearing. When transposed to a lower frequency, the sound file plays a complicated non-repeating sequence of atonal screeches, which came up as SCP-1813, rhythmic pauses, and pure tones. Although every subject who hears the transposed sound file describes it as mildly to moderately unsettling, it only displays its anomalous properties when played at its original frequency. Copies of the original file retain the anomalous property, but converting the file to MP3 or any other audio file format eliminates the anomalous property. After being exposed to the entirety of 1198 at any volume between 35 and 65 decibels, all subjects develop a unique form of auditory hallucinations. Beginning approximately 10 hours after initial exposure, subjects will begin to hear any sounds directly caused by them to start to echo. This includes, but is not limited to, sounds such as speech, their own footsteps, the engine noise of a vehicle they are operating, and internal bodily sounds such as breathing or stomach gurgles. This effect does not include externally caused sounds such as the speech of others, music, or naturally occurring echoes, all of which they hear normally. These anomalous echoes initially fade within a few moments, but over the course of approximately 48 hours, the duration of the echoes increases to the point that they no longer disappear. Affected subjects have described this in a variety of ways, but the echoes apparently neither increase nor decrease from the volume of the original sound, and sounds layer over each other such that the subject is constantly hearing all of the echoes simultaneously. Although 1198 does not affect any individual who's incapable of hearing, whether via sound dampeners or independent deafness, affected subjects who are later deafened continue to hear any pre-existing echoes. All affected subjects will eventually begin to display psychological abnormalities consistent with sensory overload, as well as generalized phonophobia and a heightened aversion to any activity on their part that would produce sound. Addendum. Once a subject has acquired an indeterminate amount of layered echoes, they will begin to experience secondary auditory hallucinations. Subjects who have progressed to this stage and are still willing and able to communicate textually report that the echoes start to intermittently amplify and distort each other, such that their resulting interference pattern resembles speech. This new source of speech is internally consistent and identical across all subjects, whose reports indicate that the speech is simultaneously transmitted to all affected subjects. Samples are transcribed below. The only thing you have to fear is garbled, alone and afraid, naked before the garbled that made you. Elephants squash ants, don't they? Pity not the Reaper Man, pity yourself. Fish, lizard, rat, monkey, man, garbled, and forever. Join cacophony. Things die. Voices rise. And this one hasn't been touched since 2017, so I don't think that one's changing at all. Next up is the Flesh Tone Paint. I keep almost saying Flesh Tone Planet, which is... This is safe and this page looks weird. Why does this page look like this? SCP-1199 Safe! SCP-1199 is housed in its original container in a medium security containment locker, accessible for research purposes by level 2 or higher. Yeah, this is weird. Higher Area 25 research personnel. Description: SCP-1199 is a can of Gloss House paint originating from an unknown manufacturer. Although aged, the item is in fair condition. The can is filled to 50% of volume with a beige liquid which resembles acrylic paint. Throughout testing, it was noted that this level does not fall unless the item is open and inverted. Early testing revealed trace biomass within the liquid. When spread onto a surface as paint, the liquid takes on a slight red tone which fades as it dries. The final dry color is a pale white. Within the first hour of drying, treated surfaces will begin to radiate a small amount of heat. Soon after, the surface will become slightly glossy due to slight secretion of sebaceous oil. Or sebaceous, whatever. Microscopic examination shows structure identical to human epidermis. All samples 0.10 mm or greater thickness contain all skin between the cornified and basal layers, as well as a variable thickness stratum lucidum. Treated surfaces will collect environmental dirt, shed top layers, and are reactive to ultraviolet light by way of melanin production. If a treated surface becomes sunburnt, the treatment will slough from its application site wholesale. Although treated surfaces function as skin, no thickness of application have yielded blood samples. Genetic testing has shown the treatment's biomass to be chimeric in nature, containing many different helix samples of a common Anglo-Saxon heritage. The source of 1199's biochemical energy is yet unknown. Researchers note: during properties testing, a D-class supervised handler was chosen based on previous artistic inclination. One managed to create blisters, boils, and calluses while applying the treatment to surfaces. When instructed to teach the skill to a researcher, one was able to train the researcher to achieve similar effects. One remained attached to the project for the term of their service. Treatment may be removed from surface using industrial solvents or by scraping and peeling away layers from a treated area. Peeled layers maintain an elasticity similar to human skin and continue to sweat and generate heat for up to 24 hours. Stripped surfaces retain no anomalous trace save for a lingering sweat smell. Treatment remained applied may regenerate, sweat, and tan nigh indefinitely. Application of sample A is still healthy after 3,483 days as of this writing. Initial medical research has shown that the treatment does not graft to human skin, but dries onto it like paint. The treatment still retains its skin-like traits and forms a secondary epidermis not connected with a central nervous system. Research into medical applications as well as possible protections the treatment may offer against inclement environments is ongoing. Liquid remains at a constant viscosity while in its can. Research into possible anomalous properties of can, pending, on hold until conclusion of medical research. Addendum per 05 blank. This could be a boon to testing recoveries that have destructive effects to human physiology. Cross-research with other SCPs is hereby permitted. Okay. I wonder if they used it on the lizard. And now we enter the 1200s with a little taste of factory. It's safe. I have doubts. Are you lying to me? I feel like you're lying to me. Special containment procedures. Discovery and seizure of SCP-1200 are performed by FDA under CFR Title 21. Once in the possession of FDA, the recovered samples are to be replaced by non-anomalous duplicates and transferred to Site-197. As SCP-1200-A entities do not require sustenance or oxygen, they are to be contained in individual reinforced containers and stored in the ITL-1 wing of Site-197. Description: SCP-1200 designates all chewing gum distributed under the Tastes Like Chewing Gum brand. Packages of 1200 periodically appear in various stores across the United States. The logo present on the packaging identifies the gum's manufacturer as the factory. When an SCP-1200 sample is masticated by a human subject, the sample's anomalous effects will manifest. The particulars and the duration of the effects vary based on the flavor of the sample. Currently, 83 flavors of 1200 have been documented. Swallowing 1200 samples does not produce any further anomalous effects. Partial list of flavors. See 1200 EKV for a full list, and that doesn't go anywhere, so I guess we can't. SCP-1212 tastes like lemons, lime green. Effects: subject's gustatory perception was altered for 28 hours following the consumption of the sample. The subject was unable to discern the taste of consumed food, perceiving a lemon taste instead. 15 tastes like sunshine, bright yellow. Subject became luminescent, emitting over 40,000 lux of white light. The subject was not harmed by the effect. The effect lasted for 20 minutes, after which its intensity gradually decreased, ceasing fully after an additional 4 minutes. Tastes like Rubik's Cube, multicolored. For 216 minutes, subject was able to rearrange at will segments of her body, both internal and external. The functionality of the affected segments and the health of the subject was not diminished in the process. The alterations were accompanied by secondary changes in seemingly unrelated regions. Due to this, the subject was unable to return to her original body plan. 30 tastes like those forgotten, dark blue. 6 corporeal humaniform entities manifested in the vicinity of the subject. The entities did not exhibit sentient behavior, instead mimicking the actions and speech of the subject, guards and researchers, and each other. The entities continued to exist for 6 days before dissolving into a homogeneous liquid. Subsequent analysis of the liquid revealed it to be a mixture of organic materials, iron particles, and acrylic paint. SCP-1258, which is its own SCP, which is 1511, tastes like afterlife, white. Polyhedral crystalline exoskeleton formed around the subject. The resulting object proceeded to levitate at the height of 1.3 meters above the ground. The object remained inert for the next 62 days. After the conclusion of that period, when the object broke apart and the subject emerged unharmed. When debriefed regarding his experience, the subject stated that he was transported to a green meadow where he met his younger brother. Notably, the subject does not have any living or deceased siblings. SCP-1262, which is now SCP-1284, tastes like moon shadow, red. Incorporeal, translucent leporine organisms appeared to emerge from the walls of the subject's cell. The organisms proceeded to reach the subject and burrow inside her body. The subject did not react to these events and claimed to be unable to perceive the entities. Video recordings of the incident did not show any anomalous activity. The subject expired 11 days later due to exsanguination. No injuries have been found on the body. To date, this is the only known fatality caused by the effects of a 1200 sample. Addendum 2. On February the 20th, 2003, while conducting an unrelated investigation, Foundation operatives discovered a facility dedicated to the production of SCP-1230. At the time of discovery, what was that one? Yeah, tastes like the Forgotten. At time of discovery, the facility was populated by 28 anomalous entities. The entities were subsequently contained, designated 1200A, and transported to Site 197. Instances of A are animate humanoid entities composed primarily from wrought iron. A have been covered in several layers of paint, typically white, dim blue, or yellow. The outer layers of paint are largely absent, while the remaining inner segments are faded and flaking. The underlaying material is showing signs of oxidation. In the center of A's head is a large circular opening. No other features are present. When not contained, A entities will attempt to acquire recently deceased human bodies and transform them into SCP-1230. Each entity will locate a suitable cadaver and transport it to the base facility. There, the entity will regurgitate paint, various biological matter, and several slabs of iron into the mouth of the cadaver. The entity will repeat this process over the course of several weeks. Eventually, the body will liquefy, forming a dense homogeneous liquid, which will disappear via unknown means soon after. Chemical analysis of the liquid identifies it as the substance constituting 80% of 30's sample contents. Addendum 3. Cross-reference analysis of the Foundation archives returned a relevant phone call. The call was made on June 2, 1999 from a payphone located 2 kilometers from the SCP-1200A base facility. A single unidentified male voice can be heard on the recording. The transcript of the recording follows. Herrick, this is Davis. I'm all done with the psychopomps here. We redirected the output to the location you wanted, weren't any problems there. The goo should start arriving to you shortly. About your other order, Morton spotted some nanohives in Budapest. I'm heading out there tomorrow. That should do nicely for your task after some tinkering. Make sure there won't be any issues with my payment this time. If your contacts at the factory are unwilling, I can always find someone else. Call you in 2 weeks. Addendum 4. On August the 24th, 2003, 2 days after dismantling of the A base facility was concluded, packages containing a previously unknown flavor of 1200 arrived to several non-clandestine Foundation facilities. The testing results are included below. Tastes like normalcy, colorless, no anomalous effects observed. Yet. When was this last touched? June the 6th, 2017? Oh, this one is itching to be updated. Gum from the factory that's not killing people? This, well, except for that one lady. But this is absolutely itching to be updated. You can't just slap down food from the factory and call it safe and not do something with that? Y'all updated the old man and the plague doctor, but not this? How did you... Oh god. Oh god. I didn't notice the table of contents had grown. When I started doing this, there were only 4,000 of them. And then there were 5,000 of them, and now there's fucking 7,000 of them? Oh god. I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of my life, aren't I? But anyway, as I said in the update video, I'm undecided on what I want to do from the 1200s. I can either do it as I've been doing with 5 entries apiece, do a few episodes of 20 entries apiece, or one gigantic video that has 100 of them. That will probably be multiple hours long. Because 30 entries was 3 hours, 100 entries is probably going to be like 6, 7, I don't know. But, for a second I thought I saw Shia LaBeouf's name on here. But anyway, that about does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and subscribe would be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well so that you're notified of future uploads. And I will see y'all in the next one. Later!